Peace up. A-Town down. Yeah.
Alycia Baumgardner is back. I mean, as a boxer, obviously she's one of those pillars in the women's boxing division. Obviously, you can put her right up there with Clarissa Shields, Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano, and Alycia Baumgardner. Those are the four. So when you really look at it, finally, Alycia Baumgardner, she is back and she is facing Delfine Persoon. Now, if y'all don't know who Delfine Persoon is, y'all should go look her up because she is a very, very good fighter. Delfine, she is a former champion herself. She's a former contender. And overall, this is a woman who has been jumping up and down in weight for most of her career. She's a girl who should not be underestimated. I mean, let's look at the facts, Breezy. 49 wins, 3 losses, and 19 knockouts. I mean, over 52 fights, basically 53 fights, and 49 of those are wins. So, I mean, this is a good opponent that Alycia Baumgardner is facing. She's from Belgium. She's 39 years old, so she's kind of on the older side. The last time she fought was May 2023 with a split decision win over Bo Mi Re Shin in Belgium. And she is ESPN's number 10 pound-for-pound boxer. So look at that. Alycia Baumgardner is taking on a top 10 pound-for-pound woman fighter. I mean, I like this, man, especially since this is coming straight after Clarissa Shields' win against Vanessa LePage Joannis. I really do like this because obviously we know about Alycia Baumgardner and Clarissa Shields. They've been having their spat. They've been having their back and forth about having a fight. Obviously, nothing materialized out of that, but these two have been talking, have been chirping at each other, and I really like that Alycia is following up with this. Now, like I said, Delfine, she is not somebody to be taken lightly. And I do have a quote right here from Alycia Baumgardner. She said, Delfine, she's a great sportsman, trailblazer for the sport. And again, being off a year and coming back to fight and defend my title against an opponent like that is very telling. Just to say that I'm here to accept challenges, there's no excuses, and that I'll come out victorious and still have my belts. Now, obviously, Alycia Baumgardner, she is coming off of her 4th-round TKO victory over Terry Harper and a split decision win over Michaela Mayer. Those are obviously her 2 most notable victories. The last time Alycia Baumgardner fought in, let me get it right here, last July when she defended her belts against Christina Linardatou, excuse me if I pronounced that wrong, in a rematch to retain her undisputed junior lightweight championships, which, by the way, is the only loss that Alycia Baumgardner ever took in her career, and she avenged it. Now, this fight is going to be taking place September 27th in HOTLANTA, Georgia, Atlanta. Now, look, I'm saying this right now. It's been a minute since we had a fight in Atlanta. Let me tell y'all something about Atlanta. Atlanta is a hot spot. Let me tell you, Atlanta knows how to get down. They know how to, stay busy, everything like that. And Atlanta itself, I mean, it could be a party scene, but it could also be, trust me, I've heard some stories about Atlanta. Being from South Carolina, I've heard some stories about Atlanta, Georgia. So, hey, Alycia Baumgardner is going to get that city popping. But with that being said, Mike Coppinger, ESPN, is the source. And I'm going to pass it over to my co-host, Breezy.
This is really interesting. Look at all the back and forth that Clarissa Shields and Alycia Baumgardner has had. Talking about moving up this weight division fighting, coming back down to this division and fighting. Now, obviously, there is somewhat of a big, major respect between the two, but there's also a big level of competitiveness between the two. And the fact that Clarissa Shields just moved up to heavyweight, got an impressive KO. What better way for Alycia Baumgardner's, hey, I fight somebody in the top 10. I think it's brilliant. And you know what? I think I'm not saying that this fight does happen. I think that if they do fight, I think this just adds more gasoline to the fire. But as far as the fight itself, I mean, you got to commend Alycia Baumgardner. She avenged the loss. I mean, she man, not a lot of notable wins, but she does have some notable wins on her record. And I remember reading all the comments and whatnot. I remember being around when people were saying that Michaela Mayer was just going to wash Baumgardner. I remember seeing that, and to see Baumgardner beat her in the way, in the fashion that she did, I mean, you got to give her flowers and credit. Lisa Baumgardner has always been that go getter. She's always been the type to always strive to get the best fights going. And Alycia Baumgardner, she's never gave me any kind of reasons to feel or believe that she's running away from any smoke. She's kind of like, you know, the I don't want to compare it to no men fighter, but she kind of has that David Benavidez mentality, the Devin Haney mentality, make the best fight the best. But as far as the fight with the person she's fighting, it's gonna be interesting. You don't really hear too much about top 10 fighters within the women's division. So the fact that she's fighting somebody within the top 10 division, you know, what better way to do that? And then not only that too, but you get to add Alycia Baumgardner name with the rest, like Amanda Serrano, Katie Taylor, Clarissa Shields. So it's a strive for legacy. It's the best fighting the best. But you gotta also give props to her also for getting in the ring with Alycia Baumgardner. How many women do we know will be able to step in the ring with Alycia Baumgardner? So to me, I like the fight, and I think it's really interesting. It'll be a really interesting matchup, and I can't wait to see how it goes and how the slander and the back and forth will be between Clarissa Shields and Alycia Baumgardner after.
The Shields, that's in the back burner, and that fight is not materialized. It hasn't been confirmed. Obviously, it's just chirps right now, but right now we have to focus on Delfine Persoon. Delfine Persoon, I mean, this is a woman boxing trailblazer, a former champion, a top 10 pound for pound fighter in the women's boxing right now. I mean, this is a woman that we can't overlook. We can't just be thinking about Clarissa Shields and Alycia Baumgardner. Alycia Baumgardner has to get past her first. And I mean, we're talking about somebody like Persoon, who again is a trailblazer in women's boxing. I mean, it's huge. She's had a lot of fights. She's fought some of the best, like Katie Taylor. This isn't a slouch fight. This isn't a fight that we should be overlooking. I think people got to remember the name Delfine Persoon, because that is the name that we're gonna have to be focusing on. Now, obviously, when it gets closer to the fight, we're going to be talking about predictions, and we're obviously going to give our post-fight breakdown as well when the fight is over. However, Alycia Baumgardner, I mean, she's proven, like Breezy said, to fight the best of the best. She's proven that, she's not ducking nobody, and she's trying to make a claim and a case for the greatest woman boxer right now. However, she's going to have to do that against Persoon, and Persoon is a very, very good fighter. And I think this is a fight that Alycia Baumgardner needs to have on her resume, and I think this is a fight that could definitely elevate her in a way to getting one of those big fights with somebody like Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano, Clarissa Shields. Now, I do believe, as far as right now, a fight with Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano, or the winner of those two, is definitely more possible than Clarissa Shields. Clarissa Shields, I mean, we're talking about a woman who just won the heavyweight championship of the world, and Alycia Baumgardner is at 130 pounds. Now, I know Clarissa Shields can bump up and down in weight, but I mean, to say that fight's gonna happen, I don't believe it will, because the weight is just too different, man. It's too big of a gap, and I just think it's unhealthy for Alycia Baumgardner to gain all that weight, and I think it's unhealthy for Clarissa Shields to lose all that weight. So I think a fight between her and the winner of Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano is definitely more suitable. However, before that, she got to get through Delfine Persoon, and again, obviously it's been over a year since both of them has fight. Obviously, Alycia Baumgardner hasn't fought since July, and Delfine Persoon hasn't fought since May of 2023. So obviously both of them are kind of taking a little bit of a hiatus away from boxing. Obviously, it's been over a year since they've been fighting, and we talk about activity being one of the most important things. Overall, I'm excited to see this fight because both of them have been out of the ring for a little bit. So I'm gonna say this right now, spoiler alert, but you should still watch the prediction episode. I do think that this fight is gonna start off slow. However, I do believe it's also going to pick up. I really like this matchup, and I think that it's a great way for Alycia Baumgardner to respond to Clarissa Shields winning the heavyweight championship, to Amanda Serrano versus Katie Taylor 2, and to all the other women fights going out there. I think it's a great way to respond, and I think that Alycia Baumgardner is taking a very, very good fight here. Now, obviously, we're going to hear some of the critiques if she does beat Persoon, like, oh, she was too old, she was past her prime, all that type of stuff. But at the same time, make no mistake about it, that's a name on your resume that you are going to have on your resume for a very, very long time, especially against a veteran like Persoon. So I think that this fight is definitely a must-see for women's boxing. I think it's a big fight for Alycia Baumgardner. I think it's a big fight for Persoon to kind of remind people who she is, and I can't wait for it to be happening in Atlanta out of all places. It's crazy. Now, before we wrap this up, Breezy, I want to get your final thoughts about Persoon versus Alycia Baumgardner before we wrap this up.
It's gonna be a spectacle. It's gonna be a great night of women's boxing. Like we always say, women's boxing has been cooking things up recently, lately. You got a lot of fights to look for within women's boxing, and this is just adding on to the list. It's gonna be a great night, and then not only that too, but I can't wait to see what's next after. I can't wait to see the challenges they take. But not only that, but when they get in the ring, I know both of these are gonna possess both threats to each other. I know Baumgardner, she's gonna possess a threat, and opponent's gonna possess as a threat for her also. It's gonna be a really interesting matchup. I do tell y'all this, man. Make sure y'all stay tuned in with us, man. Make sure y'all look out for the prediction because there will be a prediction for this. And make sure y'all also watch the fight too. It's gonna be a great night. It's gonna be a great night for the women. It's gonna be a great night overall for boxing.